Okay, not the usual setup for a conversation, but this is what I need to do today. I've got details in the vlog for this week as to why this is kind of a janky setup for the conversation. If you're listening to it in the podcast format, then it doesn't matter. Anyway, this is the thing that I've had like issues with for a long time. And I think I finally kind of worked it out a little bit in a way where I think I understand this better. And having this conversation, I'm hoping I'll understand it even better. Maybe there's nothing to understand. That's the way I've thought about it for a long time. So if for some reason you clicked on this without reading the title, it's marrying your best friend or being in a relationship with your best friend. Basically, being in a romantic relationship with your best friend. Your partner is your best friend. That is the thing that I just haven't understood for a long time. When people say that, they're like, I'm marrying my best friend, or I married my best friend. I'm like, okay, but you didn't, because best friends are different than lovers, and like your wife or husband or whatever, your life partner is not your best friend. I just compartmentalize things a lot, so it's also just a really, really cliche thing to say, and I think most of the time that people say it, it's just like the thing to say, and it's not genuine or sincere. And that's another reason I don't like it. And it's just like, can't you describe what your best friend is? Can't you describe what this person means to you and what they bring to you and like what you value about your relationship, instead of just saying my best friend? Because that's also a vague thing of like, okay, well, your best friend just means that they are the friend that is better than all the other friends that you have. But what is a friend to you? And that's kind of where I came to this not conclusion, but the other day I was having a discussion with somebody. We were talking about weddings, we were talking about marriage, we were talking about friendship as well. And I was just thinking, like, you know, my friend group, I've got 5 friends. That's basically, I would just say I have 5 friends. To me, a friend is, and I think I have a vlog on this, or conversation on this, that I'll link here. And again, if it's the podcast, you can just look up like friendship or something, because I'm pretty sure there's a really old one that's about that. And I don't think this has changed much for me, but for me, I kind of, you could say like, oh, they're a work friend, but I would say like, yeah, they're a work buddy or whatever. I don't know, buddy's different than friend. Everyone has different ways of defining their relationships, but for me, my friends are just, that's it. Like, I feel like my friends are the same as saying my close friends or my real friends, or if I was saying like my best friends. I think there's, if you wanted to do a hierarchy within that system of these are my real friends or these are my best friends, for me, out of the 5, I guess there could be a little bit, but generally there's still some of them like you are equal but different. Like, I get slightly different things out of these friendships, but I don't want to talk about the differences. I want to talk about the similarities. Because for me, again, like, to me, just like saying, calling someone just, you are a friend, you are my friend, is saying you are a good friend, you are a close friend. Those are the only kind of friends I have. And I've got 5. Not counting my partner. I have 5. For me, families, again, I compartmentalize things differently. I compartmentalize things a lot. So for me, family is not friend. But ideally, the things that I value in a friend or a best friend, or the bestest of friends, is the same thing that I would value in any relationship. However, some relationships you choose and some you don't. So I think that's one of the differences, that you could have these things in a family. I think these values that I have and the standards of a relationship are ones that I would want in any type of relationship. In a coworker relationship, in a boss-employee relationship, in a family relationship. To me, these values are, this is what a healthy relationship is. There's a lot of setup to get to the marrying my best friend thing, but this was my route to getting to that point of like, hey, I kind of understand it now. Again, not talking about the cliche phrase that so many people use that they might not even understand, but how I've come to accept the term to a degree for me and understand it better, because I have friends who are just like, yeah, my partner is my best friend, or like my wife is my best friend. And I'm just like, okay, but they're not. And then it's like, I'm just like, I don't understand. And I've tried to have those conversations of like, I don't get it. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean they're your best friend? They're your wife. You're their husband, whatever. Like, I don't get it. How are you best friends? And I've had some conversations about that, some in-depth ones, and I still haven't been able to really get it. It's just been really difficult for me to get it. Like, I just don't get it. But I think I'm getting there. Again, longest intro to this ever. So while I was talking to someone about these things, friendship, marriage, whatever, I was just talking about, like, and this is one of my friends who was in this category of friend, and I was saying, you know, like, for me, a friend means that you're comfortable. Basically, the way I put it, you aren't scared of me challenging you, and I'm not scared to challenge you, and vice versa. That I'm not scared of you challenging me, and you're not scared to challenge me. That is like a very basic, like, along with that challenging thing just comes like open communication, honesty, forwardness. It doesn't mean being blunt, it doesn't mean being rude, it just means that you are comfortable in challenging me, in saying like, hey, I don't know if that's the best thing to do, I don't think you made the right move there, you know, I see that these are issues, whatever, right? That you should be able to do that with your friends. You should be able to challenge them. This is why I said, to me, this is just a standard for what I define as a healthy relationship. I think students should be able to challenge their teachers. I think you should be able to challenge your parents. I think that employees should be able to challenge their superiors. These would create beneficial relationships for both parties, right? Right, Ren? Right. You look like you don't know what I'm talking about, because you don't. Anyway, for the podcast listeners, the puppy is in the car with me, and her name is Ren, if you don't know that. So anyway, I realized this is also what I need in a partner. I have family members that, again, my family members, you could take the axe to your family member. You can say, we don't talk, you're not my family, we're done. You could do that. We don't have a relationship. You can break out the scissors and, you know, cut, you're cut, and you don't have a relationship with that person. There are some people in my life that I've done that to. There's some people that those, like, family members that's never developed with, really. And there's some that I have a very strained relationship, and it's unhealthy, and it is because we can't challenge each other safely. Because it gets blown out, because someone responds in the wrong way, because they overreact, get defensive. This pairs well with the last conversation too, of like accepting mistakes, right? It doesn't mean that just because someone says you made a mistake, you accept it. It's like, oh, you're right. No, but this is why it's like being able to challenge someone. Also, like, a safe challenge means that you can have a discussion, you can have a conversation. As I was telling my friend, I was saying, like, you know, in the past, I've known that I was doing something dumb. I was using things like negative coping mechanisms. And I had friends being like, man, that doesn't sound fun. Like, that doesn't sound good or healthy. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, but I'm going to keep doing it. And even I could admit that I was right, and I would still make that wrong choice. And as a friend or in a healthy relationship, you also have to recognize, like, okay, I've done my due diligence. I've said what I can. We had a discussion. Maybe it didn't seem like it was incredibly productive, but I felt heard. They acknowledged that. We discussed things to a healthy place. The conversation ended naturally, whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it, but it's healthy. And that's all I can do. And maybe they won't change that thing ever. Maybe they'll have to sit on it and think about it. Maybe right away they were like, you know what, you're right. Or maybe you realize, wait, you know what? Through the discussion, I realized I was wrong. Or that I saw things in a different way after I had the discussion with my friend. So this all goes back to, again, the marrying your best friend. I don't even know what to title this conversation, because I feel like there's so much going on. It's so packed and so dense and it needs so much setup, but it's important to me. I value my friendships a lot. It's the reason why I only have 5 of them, that like I have 5 friends, and this doesn't count my partner, but we're gonna get to that connection here. Yeah, I value my friendships very, very much, and it's just, this is a topic for me that I don't take them for granted. I don't ever want to. I want to have those important conversations and be called out, and also to be able to feel that I can do the same, and that we can have a reciprocal, a beneficial relationship. But again, I just compartmentalize things so much that I was like, hey, if you say you're marrying your best friend, let's just say that your best friend, or let's just say these are the qualities of a friend to me, these are my best friends, this is what that person needs in order to fit into that category, this is what our relationship has to look like. I understand now better than before that my romantic relationship could have and should have a lot of those same values that I look for in a best friend. I would just add, you know, there's a romantic side of that for me, those are not things I do with my friends. So when it comes to like physical intimacy and connection, that type of stuff, then that is, I think, the main thing people think of when it's like, okay, this is not a friendship, we are more than friends. But that's the thing, people talk about being more than friends. And I mean, language I think is important. As I obviously, I think if you've ever watched a conversation before, you know that that language is important to me, and how we use language and what it can mean. So saying more than is also interesting, because it's like you value that relationship more than the other ones, is I think what you say. It's like, we are more than friends, we are past friends. You could just say we're different than friends, right? I think that adding a physical, romantic connection that is beyond just like, I don't know, that is more than platonic. There we go. You've got platonic stuff, and then you've got other stuff that goes beyond that and reaches a new category, and that moves it past a platonic place, and the relationship is different, and that's why I've just been like, it's not a friendship anymore, it's a romantic relationship, whatever. But when someone says, I married my best friend, I think that I can get to the place where you can say, this is why a lot of people say friends first, right? And I've never done like friends first for a relationship, because for me, I'm a person who I value, how do I put, the whole package to me is important. I need someone that I can connect with on a mental level, on an emotional level, but I also need to connect with them on a physical level. There needs to be physical attraction, there needs to be chemistry, and there needs to be compatibility. For me, compatibility is more of the mental and emotional, and chemistry is more of the physical intimacy and that type of connection. And I need both of those things pretty much equally, lust and love. I need both of those things in order to be in love, in order to have a healthy relationship for me. Some people don't need certain components of that to have a partner, but I really need both. So I've never really been able to be, oh, friends first and then, because I can't ignore the aesthetic quality of somebody. I just can't do it. I notice it right away. That does not mean that that person is a candidate to be a partner for me, because those other things also matter. I also need that compatibility component, not just chemistry. So anyway, thing is, some people build that friendship first, and I understand. I think how I would interpret that for me is that what I'm looking for in a partner is based off of the same things I'm looking for in a friend, because that's what I look for in a healthy relationship. That's what healthy relationship should be. And you don't pick your coworkers, you don't pick your family to a degree. I mean, you can pick who you don't want there anymore, but you generally don't pick who you do want in, unless you're like, I mean, you could. Again, it all comes down to language. You can say, you are my family, you are like my brother, and I am choosing you and putting you in that circle, and that's what that means. So when you are making choices, I think that when I'm making choices on relationships, the ones I want to have that will be beneficial to me and will be healthy, it is based on the fact that it's someone I can learn from, and that it's reciprocal, and we can learn from each other. And in order to do that, we need to be able to challenge each other and not feel threatened, which also means we need to be able to communicate effectively, and we need to understand that the other party is there for us and whatever else. Like there's so many things that go in with this. It's not just one thing. Like it is multiple things. It's not just one thing. A lot goes into it. So I don't know what else to say about that. I think that's kind of it. That's what I've just come to understand better, is like, hey, I can have a partner who is a quote-unquote best friend in a way. I mean, I still compartmentalize their different things, but I understand the basis for that romantic relationship, for that partner, for that life partner, for whatever that commitment is that would equal or be equivalent to marriage, is that, yes, I do need the same qualities that I need in my very best of friendships, which are those things I've already outlined. So when someone says that, I'll probably still cringe, because most of the time people say it in a way that is just like the cliche, stereotypical, insincere, disingenuous way, without really thinking about what it means. And I've thought a lot about what it means. I don't think I'll ever use that phrase in my life, because I just think, again, like, I don't know. I compartmentalize, like, no, I did not marry my best friend. I mean, if I did, then they wouldn't be my best friend anymore. We'd be something else, right? So, again, language, semantics, whatever, but the spirit of it, I think I understand when it is sincere, when it is genuine. I don't think I'll cringe as hard when certain people discuss it in that way, and I feel like I can understand it, and most importantly, not argue it.